Morning. Thanks, Manuel. Thanks, Radha. We are switching gears and want to talk about context effects. So why do we do that? Why do we talk about context effects? Well, the main reason really is the growth of programmatic. And as you all know, there are different ideas about programmatic, but the two things that I think all the concepts have in common is there's a strong emphasis on targeting, which is great, I totally agree with. But then there's this other thing, and that is that context effects, the context in which the ad runs, is either ignored or really not given a lot of play at all. So that is sort of up against more than 50 years of research. Research that shows that the context in which an ad is shown can really affect ad performance. Now, this research is not perfect at all. There are some contradictions. Most of it is about television. Very little is about new media. And there's really no good data on ROI. So all this taken together, we felt there really was a need to establish today, under today's conditions, the impact of ad environment factors. Now, we want to identify opportunities. And I'm saying that is to say that in this project, we decided to really focus on opportunities, on positive effects, to give you ideas on how to make your advertising more effective, rather than focus on the negative, which has been really a lot in the news recently, and there's a lot of concern under the headline, brand safety and fraud, and we had some discussions at this conference about it too. So let's talk about the positive and the opportunities, and how do we approach this? Well, the project has three parts. We started with a literature synthesis. Then we got a lot of new studies from our members. They're all studies conducted in the last several years. And we're really grateful to all our sponsors because we really got a lot of good information out of those studies. And then third, but not least, we commissioned original studies which will be unveiled today. So all of this taken together gave us a lot of really good insights, we think, already. It's an ongoing project. There'll be a lot of new learning. But we think we got some really interesting insights that are useful for you. And starting with the first, which is, well, there are a lot of contexts. Most of the discussion, most of the thinking about context effects is about content, the content that is adjacent to my ad. And there's a good reason for that. A lot of research shows how important that is. But there are other contexts, and I think some of them are of growing importance. For example, the medium, the platform, the device, the media brand. We've also seen research on how ads can influence each other. Then certainly there is time and place, maybe season. There is the economy, there's culture, and of course, not surprisingly in today's environment, politics too provides the context in which your ad appears. And if you decide to have a campaign about clean energy, obviously politics plays in there. So, what are the effects and which ones can really help us make our ads more effective? There are so many of them. It's somewhat complicated, but in the time that we have today and just focusing on what we think are the best opportunities, we want to focus on two kind of effects. The first one is usually called attention transfer, and there's strong research evidence that more attention to the context is likely to transfer to the ad, and it can improve your ad performance. So the opportunity clearly here is that you place your ad in a context that your target pays attention to. And to follow up on the point I just made, when you think about context, think about the broad range of all the possibilities, the medium, the time of year, time of day, the platform. All of these things are worth considering. Now, what are the effects? We want to talk about primarily about this one other effect here today, apart from the attention transfer, which we think has real opportunities, but it also has some pitfalls. This is usually called priming and halo effects. It refers to the fact that context generates priming and halo effects that influence the ad performance. And of all of those effects, there's this one effect which is of particular interest, and it's alignment or congruence, fit, the matching between the context and the ad. And there is some research evidence suggesting that that can give you a bonus. It can amplify the effects. And therefore, we would say the second really important opportunity is for you to explore alignments between the content, the context, and your ad. Now, as I said, there are lots of those. We see it very straightforward in sports programming. Whoops, I went a little bit ahead here, giving it all away. We see it in endemic, we see it in thematic alignment, very straightforward, sports themed ad in a sports website or a food ad in a food magazine. There's cognitive alignment, where the focus is very much on information, aligning information like a news program or a news website, having an ad that focuses very much on information. But there's growing interest in, and I think for good reason, in the emotional alignment that can happen between an ad and the context. And we know how advertising effects are strongly affected by emotions, and therefore this is like something really, really important to look at. However, the question is, what kind of alignments work best for my ad? And there's a lot of conflicting research evidence, so it's not like a really, really simple thing. There is no one size fits all, but we do think there is one general rule that we can apply, and that is to develop ad creative that aligns with your consumers' needs, with your consumers' perceptions of the context, and also with a brand image. So we have this little triangle here, and I think if all of that fits together, there really is an opportunity to get an extra bonus. It's not as simple as just putting a funny ad in a sitcom, because that may not be the really powerful alignment for your brand and your audience. So here are just two examples. One very successful one from Procter & Gamble. They really understood the true emotion and the drivers of content, in this case, the Olympics, for their particular audience. They understood that their audience did not look at the Olympics, for example, just as a sports event. Here's another example. Holiday advertising. Well, everybody's doing it, we're all doing it, very simple and straightforward. Well, not exactly. What if you really explore and really understand what your target is really thinking about the holidays? Is it about gift giving, gift receiving? Is it about the family getting together? Or maybe it's actually about Christmas. And you can apply this thinking to the 4th of July, to spring, summer, all kinds of different seasons, to weddings, all of these events, and really understand what drives it. And it's a little similar to what we heard earlier from Distillery about understanding the Chobani consumer. There is an opportunity. So in sum, we have compelling evidence for context effects. Ignoring context is risky for the fraud, for the brand safety issues, but also because you may be leaving out opportunities. We think there are real benefits from understanding your consumers, to talk to them, not just as consumers, but as whole persons, understand their emotions. There's no simple one-size-all rule, and there are still some very important open questions, such as ROI, and then exactly what are those context effects for your brand, and exactly how do they work. And that's why our new original research comes in. In the time that we have, very, very quickly, I'll mention the first study by Media Science, and it's going to be featured in the deep dive. But Chris is going to tell you about the return on investment study. Then we have a couple of things coming up. Pinterest will have new data. We're doing a study on audio that I'm very excited about because of the strong emotions that we know music can give you and that can help advertising. The first study, as I said, Media Science. I'm out of time. It's a great study. It's a complex study. It has two parts. One is about the halo effect of 7 different kinds of emotions. The second part is about alignment for 3 different emotions. As I said, out of time, this study deserves at least 20 minutes, and we have those this afternoon. Whoops, is it afternoon? We have those in the deep dive session, so let me get off the stage here so that Chris can tell you about the important ROI study.
Thank you, Horst.